AI is everywhere these days, but the big question is, are you ready to innovate or are you hesitating to dive in?
Today we'll be looking at AI from two different angles, the fast-paced, ambitious perspective and a more cautious, experience, information-driven approach.
Yeah, it's all about diving deeper into AI for small business, but with a twist. Todd and I aim to put our unique perspectives on display and have a thoughtful conversation about how AI is affecting small business and how we'll have business owners adopting AI competencies in no time.
So Zach, as someone who's grown up with technology, do you think AI is overhyped or is it really the game changer everyone says it is? What do you think?
Yeah, well, the thing about AI that I think gets swept under the rug is it's not new. So, the use case that we're currently experiencing with tools like ChatGPT 3, and it's at four, its fourth iteration at this point, is that's the AI that we think about today. But AI has actually been in business for a long time. You got to think about in 1996 when IBM's AI took on Kasparov with the chess match, right? And that was kind of like the industries or the world's first lead into AI competencies. But today, so I guess the big thing is AI is not new. Right. And so AI has been a thing for quite a while. Now, this particular use case is new. And I don't believe it is overhyped. I think it is going to be a game changer. I think in the applications that we've currently seen the AI disrupt, we're talking like customer service, chatbots, the ability to write content very quickly, ask it questions. I mean, the disruption is real, and it's happened fast. I think it was maybe 2 years ago, November 2022.
Yeah, no longer. And quick question, not to throw you off it. So this is new to most people, and it's been introduced. ChatGPT is introduced to us, and a friend or somebody that we're working with has brought ChatGPT or introduced ChatGPT to us. And so AI now is the buzzword. You don't go a day without hearing about AI. The point is what do we really know about it?
Yeah.
How are we going to use it, right?
Right. And I'm not the person that knows anything and everything about AI, but when I'm using it and I'm using AI tools on a daily basis, I learn something new every single day, and my mind is just kind of at this boggling moment of like, did you really do that? And how did you do that in 5 seconds?
So quick input. So in our history, over a year ago, we started having conversation. We set time aside to simply look at each other and go, what questions should we be asking each other?
Yeah.
Right. So we're a year into this, right? And we may be talking to some people who this first podcast have ever seen. So maybe a little bit on the process of the first meeting, and we're looking eye to eye and going, what do we really ask each other? To now you make the comment that you use it day to day.
Right. And I think that is the big point for people that have questions about AI, business owners specifically, is ask those questions.
Right.
What is AI? What can it do for me? I think everything now has become a lot more clear for me that the floor is extremely high and the ceiling is unlimited. Like I haven't seen a ceiling from the very basic tools that we're using today with AI. And so, your mind is your own limit with AI in terms of the use cases that I've seen it play out to be. So not overhyped. It definitely is a game changer.
Yeah, and I'd say it's an evolution as well. What you and I have experienced from looking at each other eye to eye and not really saying what questions are we going to ask, to now it's a daily discovery of the things, right, that are really lost in our imagination. We haven't experienced it. We still don't know some of the questions, but it's based on a year's worth of conversation and discovery and actually using some of the tools.
Right.
Right? So it seems literally, Zach, on the day-to-day right now that we can at any point in time in a day have a question we didn't have just yesterday that helps move us forward in our understanding and our applications on how to use these things. Right?
Yeah. And at this point, I one of the biggest use cases is I'm not actually going to Google anymore for my research, which a big part of my job and my role was to do research, right? Research on different locations, research on different industries, research on different techniques and tactics and marketing and business. That I'm first going to ChatGPT, and that is my springboard to do maybe some more in-depth research on a search engine like Google. And so,
Yep.
it's at this point my jumping off point for a lot of the tasks that I'm responsible for doing.
Yeah. So I think the big takeaway in the last few minutes is start with the conversations and they will evolve.
Of course, yeah.
And then the key will be is putting some of those things into action. You introduced me to ChatGPT. And it was actually so simple that it was confusing to me. Right? And the first step was really stepping into an inch of water. I wasn't stepping into the deep end. And now I've got my own room. It knows me. It knows the context of what I'm asking. And now it's, I've got this assistant. It's very helpful. And this is just block and tackling. It's the simplest task.
Yes.
Right? But very helpful.
Yeah. So AI, not overhyped, big deal. But Todd, I have a question for you.
Sure.
You've been successful in sales. You've ran multiple businesses. You're currently the CEO of Summit Media Solutions. And so, buttoning success around your career, do you have any fears or hesitations when it comes to adopting AI?
Again, I'll allude to it was when we began, everything was unknown. So more than now, right? So the more information, the more context that I could gain through our conversations. And again, it was just like, what questions should we be asking ourselves? It was just that simple and elementary at the time. So at that time, yes. But here's the one thing that I know, Zach, that my tendency, by the way, I'll put this out as a kind of a qualifier. I don't know if some of the folks that might be listening to this are familiar with the Myers-Briggs, but part of my innate traits, if you will, one of them is what they call a sensor. I like to gather information. I like to make informed decisions. So if I'm going to go buy a truck, I'm going to have the pamphlets on the four that I'm going to, right? Or I'm going to look at the specs online, and I actually want to stand them side by side and compare. And it's going to take me about a week to make a decision.
Right.
Right? So I'm not a natural born intuitive. I really want to, where I'm ready, fire, aim, that person. So through a learned discipline, and specifically to answer your question with AI, it was unknown, but I had enough time in business where I went, wait, I can't let my tendencies hold me back, or I can, but I choose not to. Right? So I need to learn to embrace change. And change for me needed to be question by question. It wasn't the run to the end of the diving board and jump off and be grateful that there was water, right? I'm going to check things out before I make that dive. So again, the point would be, Zach, in the evolution, it was embrace change or be owned by it.
Right.
And the best thing to do is to take those steps, right? There's TMI kills all initiative. It really does. So make informed decisions, and we want to reduce the risk, right? Wasted time, wasted revenue, wasted hopes, if you will. But I can encourage, for the folks that are more process driven like me, is learn to get good at getting uncomfortable. And the quicker you do that, the quicker you become more familiar with the things that you then now know. And it enables us to speed up. And in this case, time is of the essence. We've got AI coming at us. It's a massive inflection point. So for business, even though the tendencies for me are to be more information driven, we've got to find a way to get uncomfortable, take those steps, and then begin to string those steps together.
Right.
Baby steps at first, but then all of a sudden, before you know it, really, you're jogging and running. And you've got elevated conversations, again, referencing back to what we talked about before between you and I, where you've, hopefully, there's a teammate and you can play off of each other and really pick up speed. So I think this is a situation with AI. If we don't get uncomfortable, and the encouragement is to just take those steps and discover, and I think we can get left behind. And I think that's the threat, not the unknown.
Right.
Is the inaction.
The inaction for sure. And
No doubt.
I really like that. I don't think that either one of our learnings would have been as swift as they were if we were doing this alone, right?
Yeah, we had the benefit of that,
having
right.
that buddy,
Absolutely.
that partner, that person inside the organization that you trust to start tackling some of this AI stuff. I think that is a big thing. So if you're a business owner or you're in a business, don't try to understand it yourself. Lean on somebody to walk that journey with you. And you're talking about not running outside of off the diving board when there's no water. And there's been many times where I'm jumping off the diving board and I hope there's water. Right, I hope there's some water in here because I don't know, and you reeling us in and saying, all right, let's be pragmatic about this.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you play off of each other. So shifting gears a little bit. So from your perspective, more ops driven for sure. Where would be a stepping off place for small business in your opinion? So be the guy. Grab me by the hand. I'm brand new in business. Where are you going to take me?
Yeah, so the first step that I would recommend anybody to take with trying to understand AI is go get a ChatGPT account. It's free. There is some really cool advanced features for a paid membership. You don't have to jump and take that leap. There is a free version which will do very basic tasks for you that will blow your mind. And so like I alluded to earlier, is starting there. If I need to ask, for example, I'm going to Google and I'm going to say, hey, I want a meatloaf recipe, right? Try plugging that same query that you would into Google or your other search engine and plug it into ChatGPT. And it's going to spit out something that is accurate and a recipe that you can actually follow. Right. But to take it into like the business approach is I run every single one of my emails that I send out through ChatGPT. Right. I will write a, pretty decent email, and then I'll copy and paste that into ChatGPT AI, and I'll say, make this more professional, more empathetic, more robust, more clear, shorter, longer, so on and so forth. And oftentimes the email that it rewrites for me is the email that gets sent. And so I send out 50, 60 emails a day. I would say 95% of all of those emails are ran through ChatGPT as a preemptive step.
So yeah, super cool. So you helped me with that. You introduced me to my first, deliberate experience with AI, right? And that's actually exactly what I experienced. I tend to really think out my emails. I want to be super professional. I'm not great at punctuation, and so they can be run on. Mm-hmm. And then before the day that you introduced me to ChatGPT, I would then go through and say, okay, now what do I cut? What blew my mind was I copied and pasted, longer contextualized, the best email that I could put out, and dropped it into ChatGPT and said, make it more personable, make sure that that I stay connected, I connect with the people, don't lose any authenticity, and cut it in half. Mm-hmm. Or take a third of it out. And it was just literally asking ChatGPT to do that for me. And my mind was blown that it did it. So now I have another question real quick though. When I did it, and I think this plays in a lot of well, I know this plays in a lot of people's conversations with themselves. Is this really my email? It recontextualized things. It made it better in many senses, but help me walk through that. I mean, is
Yeah.
this really me? Is this my work now?
I definitely view it as being my work. It just makes it better, right? So
Yeah.
it just makes my points get across in a clearer manner. I write out emails the way that I communicate, which is using slang and run-on sentences and not polished, not professional. What's punctuation and what's semicolons and
Same.
so that's not me. Now in a professional setting, it does get my intent across, but it just makes it a little bit more polished for those that want that. And that's just one use case. I mean, another use case, and one of the very first use cases in my seat in marketing operations is like, how are we going to run our business, and how do we train our team and get our team to follow written procedures and different
Mm.
things like that? Is getting ChatGPT to come in, and I gave it access to a lot of the different procedures that we have. Hey, we're having a problem with this optimizing Google Business Profile procedure. Can you identify areas that are making it problematic for our teammates not to um, do it this accurately, or something like that? And it actually rewrote the procedure, and it was far better. Now, we did a lot of that work. It took our team probably 4, 5, 6, maybe even 14 hours to write that procedure manually, step by step, walk through.
A lot.
ChatGPT rewrote it and made it significantly better in a matter of 20 minutes.
So let me ask you a quick question. To give context to folks that might be watching this, can you give us an overview or a broader perspective on the organization as a whole? How are we set up? I'll start you off a little bit. We've got what we call client care.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a support staff who is very competent, and then we've got a sales org, and those are two different dynamics, right? I mean, they really are, but they're interdependent. But can you just maybe share some of your thoughts on an organization of approximately 20 employees with this dynamic, and how does AI play in, and how do you see that helping us tomorrow, and then maybe down the road if you'd like to?
Yeah, so I work a lot with our client care, our customer service, operational side of the business, and that's the role there. And what we've seen is we're actually able to ideate and expand and collaborate our ideas significantly better with more thoughtful conversations using AI as a backbone for that conversation. So I can come in and I can say, hey, we're really trying to, I can plug this into ChatGPT, right? It knows everything about me, my role, our organization. I've already trained that AI to do that. And I can go into that and I can say, hey, I'm running a meeting on website development, and the team is struggling with this, and this. Can you write me a structure that can help me help the team? And allows me to have a framework to guide that conversation, and it's far better than what I would be able to come up with on my own, and compress the time that it may take, right? And so the sales org is about a quarter of the size as what our client care side is, our customer service side.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have 15 other employees that all learn differently, that have the same struggles. And I can plug a thing into ChatGPT, ask it to help me out, and it makes our meeting significantly better. Now, on a sales end, the email thing that I spoke to, that's a huge thing. Making sure that you can properly communicate with and build relationships with prospects or current customers that you're trying to sell things to, or help, or provide them context. The email thing is huge from that lens.
So here's a thought that comes to mind, and this is more of my day to day. How do we provide quality communication? Now, email is inherently wrought with misreads, absent of sentiment, that can be dangerous. Context, run-ons, etc. So to me, it's like, boy, anytime I touch a keyboard, am I loading a gun here, and how am I going to shoot it, right? And that's within the organization. But externally, how do we communicate with people when we're trying to gain communication? And it's to be better than I can be on myself, to actually compress the time. So the intent, the knowledge is there. It's how do I communicate using a vehicle, right? Email, if you will, that actually makes me communicate, which I would say is I'm now demonstrating a higher level of respect and professionalism by having an assistant. It's not replacing me. It's enhancing things and abilities that I already have. Right? It's helping me be a better me and do a better job for the people that we serve. Okay, so I'm going to volley this one back to you real quick. And I'm remembering a little bit of this. When you came to me and said, hey, dude, use ChatGPT, I'm like, what? And then it took me 2 weeks. And then I'm like, wow, we need to get everybody. I only used it 3 or 4 times and said, we need to get everybody in the company to use this. And please correct me if I'm wrong. It's like nobody did. So it was deer in the headlights. So maybe 1 or 2. And that went on for months. Now, if I could wind it back, sitting where I sit right now and encouraging others, right, is that first step is almost, well, I encourage, maybe it's a requirement, right? So get started and then get familiar with this thing, and then you really begin to run. And organizationally, it begins to take hold.
Yeah, stuff like this is really hard to, to conceptualize, because like you have to see it to believe it. And I keep going to that, is like, it is so mind blowing that you have to see it to believe it. Me telling you to like what it's capable of, when we talk to business owners that we're working with, they're like, it's kind of an awkward meeting that we're having with them, because we're showing them the AI tools and how they can implement it into their business and what it can do. Just had a conversation today, and it was awkward because he just like kind of clammed up, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on? You liking what you're hearing?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to take it in.
Right.
I'm just trying to take it in. This is awesome. This is amazing. My mind has these ideas that are spinning." And so you have to see it to believe it. It is one of those things. But it was hard getting the team to fully adopt it, and it was very much was a requirement. It's like, hey, if you're sending out emails and you're not running them through ChatGPT, or you're going to Google first, like you need to make sure that you're using ChatGPT first.
Clean it up.
And clean everything up, and organize your thoughts. And that's a huge thing, is when you are have your head over the tips of your skis, and trying to run so fast down the runway to scale and grow your business, that implementing an AI tool to help you organize your thoughts and the proper steps to execute something is huge. And so get your team to use it yourself, cast that vision. And if you've never plugged into a ChatGPT ever before, prepare to get your mind blown.
Second makes me think the hardest thing to do is get a young kid in the pool sometimes, and then the harder thing is to get him out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. But Todd, you've built business the old school way, right? Without all the tech, and I know that you use a manual calendar, a written calendar still today, but you are kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and using tech in a unique way. But you've built business before all the tech. And so do you think AI makes the success easier, or is it just another layer of complexity? And, from the business owner's seat, how do you take the first step if you're a hesitant business owner?
Just take it. This is an inevitability. What comes to mind is like it's an inevitability. AI is part of our life. To me, the way I've compartmentalized it, Zach, the best way to answer it is is as I've evolved through my own life and my own business and professional life, if I don't change, what, right? If
You'll
I don't,
die.
nothing changes, and yet the world around me changes, I'm denying my place in it. And I'll take even, choosing to opt out to what I believe. What am I trying to say? Is there's going to be a price to pay. The one for not taking the steps to advance and to move, and especially if there's more people involved, right? You as an example, you and I work together. I started the company. Who am I to you if I'm not handling the responsibility, my responsibility to move us forward? Right? I'm looking to you to do that for me. As soon as a business owner, I'm like, I need to brave up. And what kind of business do I choose to compete? Right? And now what we're seeing, Zach, is we're seeing time compressed, right? Or technology has compressed into time, and this great acceleration. So it will own us, or we can own it. So I guess what I would say is there's a lot more comfort knowing that we're taking the steps and seeing what we're modeling as growth quicker, and our acceleration in the adoption of AI, I find much more comfort. Right, I sleep well at night, not wondering if there's a hailstorm coming, but how I'm prepared for it because it's going to come. Or maybe it's just, it's not a hailstorm. It's not a bad thing. So maybe it's a bad analogy to use, but we embrace change. Or I feel like we're denying our responsibility, and I'm not being responsible in doing my part for you. So it's a shared responsibility. With that, I just can't encourage, the people that are more process-driven, information-driven like me. Get your information, start having those conversations, and the information that you're getting, if you don't know how to ask the questions, are simply asking the questions and watching those things evolve, those conversations evolve, and your confidence goes up, and the action becomes much easier, and it compounds, and you do sleep better at night. And we're preparing, for the future.
Right. Yeah, and you really want to approach it in a way that you're failing forward, right? And
Great way to put it.
failing forward is like get in, use it, do quick experimentation, find what works, build momentum, and if you fail, make sure that you fail forward.
Right.
And pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and get back on and start using the tool again. And it resonates a lot with what you were saying about taking that first step. And what would be some of the next conversations that we would want to have for those that are out there that have used ChatGPT, but they maybe they're using it for their emails, they're kind of using it for these other little tasks. Is there anything that you would say to those that are familiar with it, use ChatGPT, and how they can really start taking the next step in their business? And what questions did you ask yourself, and what questions should they be asking
Yeah,
themselves?
thanks. And so what I'm hearing is, how do we serve the people that might be taking the information that we're talking about? We're sharing our perspective and our experience. And if it's not, this is not by any means what I'm about to say to be a self-promotion. If you don't, what am I trying to say? At first, we were saying what we were asking ourselves again. What are the questions we should be asking ourselves? Where are you going to run those things out? You don't even know what the next questions are. Look around in your people group. Maybe it's through social, whatever your discovery is, and then look us up. I mean, we are very responsible when we say we're advocates. That means we're going to provide perspective and information, and we're going to ask nothing. But find a guide that can help you once you hit those barriers of not knowing what the questions are and how AI might apply in your business, reach out to somebody that knows. And, we're a year and a quarter in, or 3 months in. I really don't know anybody. I don't know anybody at this point that is more advanced than we are in these conversations. I'm sure there are. But how do I think what I'm hearing here, and where I'm going with this, or the question from you is, what do I do when I run out of questions? Like, I don't know what the next question is. Happily reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to provide more information,
Yep.
to be informative, and more resources that will help the folks that we're talking to. And if it's not us, you're going to have to search.
Yeah. Yeah. Find
Right?
somebody.
Expand.
Definitely find somebody that can help you see the broader picture. We're having those conversations and setting up the systems and the processes. One of your favorite, quotes is rise or fall to your, take it away. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, we don't rise to the level of our goals. Rather, we fall to the level of our systems.
Yes. It's James Clear, right?
It's James Clear,
Yep.
Atomic Habits.
We're building these AI systems into business that will catapult them forward. And so one question that I would have is, and we when we're talking to these business owners, it's a question that we ask, right? And something that they're frustrated with is, I want to build my business. Right. I don't want to have to take these phone calls, answer these questions, schedule these different appointments, do all the different task work. They just want to show up at somebody's house, fix the furnace, and that's it. They don't have CRMs, they don't have data management solutions, they don't have these systems that help them truly run their business. And so we're actually looking at a full suite and offer a full suite of different AI tools that can handle all of those menial tasks that they don't want to do, they don't have time to do, and so they're dropping the balls, they can't answer the phones, they can't respond back to emails and all the things that they're running because they're too busy doing the work that they are passionate about. And that is the question you should be asking yourself as a business owner is, if I never had to do this ever again, I would be extremely happy, right? Then you back it in with AI and you say, what if AI could do this for me? And that's what we're having a lot of conversations on. Tell me the thing that you never want to do again. Great. Here's this AI system that we can provide to you that will make sure that you never have to do that again.
Absolutely. The key question is, what if? And then find somebody or find a source of information that you can have confidence in that's going to answer that question. And what comes to mind on that is don't overthink it. What's blowing my mind about AI is it's vastly more simple, or simpler. It's more simple than I believed.
Yeah.
So it's confounding. You mentioned you spoke to somebody earlier today that said, I'm just taking it in. It's so big in a very positive way that our patterns of thought, our references from the past, the way we were thinking yesterday in the context of that same simple question, what do I not want to do anymore? Is we have to slow down to process it because it's so foreign, and yet it's possible. That's what I'm finding. Yeah. Those problems can be solved, and they're much closer, much easier, much more affordable than I imagined yesterday.
Yeah. It's not reserved for those with the biggest pockets or
it is not
biggest budgets or the largest companies. Right now, it's actually a lot easier to be a small business and start implementing these tools, right? And so definitely couldn't agree more. And so as we wind this conversation down, we always want to make sure that we provide actionable takeaways for those that may be listening to the pod today. And so, we kind of broke this down into the 3 different categories of people, and it's likely that you fall into one of these categories. And so the first one that we want to talk about for the actionable takeaways is for the innovators. All right. And so if you are an innovator within your organization, you are running the ball, you're trying to be out in front of your coworkers, your leadership team, and you're always trying to bring new, exciting things to the forefront, this is for you. Take one solution that or one problem that your boss is facing right now. Go ask them. Say, what problem are you facing right now in your business? That's it. He's going to tell you, and you're going to walk away. And you're going to spend the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months solving that problem with AI. right? And so not everything, again, like Todd mentioned, I brought AI to him, right? And so if I waited for Todd to bring AI to me, we may not be even having this conversation. Who knows? It's to be undetermined. So if you're an innovator within your organization, ask your leadership, ask your boss what problem they have. Shut up, turn around, sit back at your desk, and go to work. Figure out how AI can solve that problem and then present it as the solution to their problems, and they'll be forever grateful. I guarantee. So that can be anything from automating menial tasks, improving customer service, producing different procedures and operational decks that can help your business. But if you're an innovator, that's how you should be applying AI for yourself and your business.
Right. To that, I think about those easy, actionable. So there's innovating or formulating or forming ideas. But again, the common thing is you've got to take some sort of action. And what does that look like? In this case, you introduced me to ChatGPT. I didn't do it for 2 or 3 weeks, and it was sitting right in front of me. Wish I had.
Yeah.
We didn't do it as an organization for the first 3 or 4 months. Only 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 of us did. What did that cost us in the long run? So taking action, and we have an acronym, massive action now, right? That's the big word of encouragement there. And then the other one is, I'd be remiss if I didn't, again, not self-promoting at all. What we're seeing in the introduction in the early days, and super easy to implement, was our AI assistant. Our chatbot on our site was so easy for us to enlist onto the site, change the way that people were going in 30 minutes in the way that people were interacting with our site. And the programming, if you will, of the AI, the learning curve was all of 10 to 20 minutes. Right? So again, we can hear AI and we tend to go, wow, we see the forest. No doubt about it. And here's one, and you were the one that helped me, right? So it was, no, it's this simple. I had to hear that like 3 times and then see it to go, oh my gosh, I was a barrier. So if it's for the innovators, it's innovation without action is a dream.
Yeah.
And those are a couple easy references where I'm going, boy, start now.
Yep.
Right? And so one of the other things that's big to me, Zach, as an owner, I'm looking at ROI. How do I invest my money and my time today? And we're an ambitious crew. We think if we're not growing, that we're dying, right?
Yeah.
So we need to keep moving and monetize. We need to cash flow the business, for ourselves to provide for everybody within the business, is what I'm saying. But then we need to provide for ourselves by creating expanded opportunities in the future. That gives us growth opportunities, right? So I'm the ROI guy and the metrics and the numbers guy. The things that have been talking about today will have a direct correlation to our ability to do things more efficiently, effectively, at a higher level, and actually increase our sales.
Yeah.
It's the answer to the ROI. So as a business owner, right, pre-AI, it was rinse and repeat. We're doing the best we can, right? As we had grown over 20 years, we grew those competencies. We're very tenured, right? And any business is going to have that journey. But this AI comes along and says, wow, this is an opportunity that was never afforded to us before. That in the next year, I'm talking about Summit and anybody else that takes some sort of action with this, is you're moving yourself exponentially, right, forward in time, which means you're bringing money or you're pulling money closer to you, if that makes sense. And they'll be measurable. We don't know exactly what those systems look like. We fall to the level of our systems.
Right.
But it's the data, and that you can only get data by taking action. There must be a do to look at the data to help guide us forward.
Right. Yeah, and that's a great context, because if you are that hesitator, person in that cohort of people, tie it to the ROI, right?
Absolutely.
What we've been able to accomplish just for our organization and the organizations that we've been able to partner with and impact with AI tools is seeing things along the lines of 6 to 10% in operational efficiency. Well, that gain has monetary value to it. That 6 to
Absolutely.
10% actually flows right back to the top and into your profitability. So when we're able to become more efficient, something as simple as the email, it's the simplest use case. If you're spending 30, 40, 50 minutes to hammer out an email, you can do that same exact email, oftentimes better, if you simply start in ChatGPT and edit it accordingly. You'll have a better, more robust, comprehensive email that is clear in half the time at a minimum, if not 3/4 of the time. So, we're finding operational costs are lowering by implementing these tools on large scales and low scales, and that's what matters to the business owners.
And increasing revenue.
Yeah, and increasing revenue.
No doubt about it.
Who doesn't love that? And so, I think the big thing for today's conversation is, if you're listening to this and you've heard and you've got really good value, hopefully you've got good value out of this, is start where you are. AI doesn't have to be all or nothing. Take little bits of bite size. Best way to eat an elephant.
Absolutely right.
One bite at a time. So AI is that elephant. It's the elephant in the room. You're hearing a lot about it in the space. Friends, families, coworkers are probably mentioning it to you, and you don't know where to start. Best time to start is today. And so take that first step. If you have questions, need help, feel free to reach out to us. Find somebody in your direct circle of influence that will take this AI journey with you. It will be the backbone that businesses scale in the same way that the internet revolutionized and transformed the businesses of that era. That's the area and that's the point where we're sitting at right now. And the very exact same point
that is.
With AI. And so, Todd, you have anything to leave the audience with?
Thanks for a great conversation.
Likewise, always.
Appreciate it.
Join in every Tuesday. We'll be dropping new episodes. We have a really exciting guest next week. We'll be sitting down with Kristen, a 17-year veteran, sales veteran, and marketing expert, director of sales. The accolades go on and on. Great person. We're going to be sitting down with Kristen next week. And so join in next Tuesday, and we aim to help you businesses out there reach the high ground. Have a good one.